Hi, Tracy here with another layout process video. This time I'm using the Scraptastic Riptide kit, and I have already used it for a couple of layouts. And I have this photo, which is an Instagram picture that is printed at 3.8 by 3.8 inches. And I'm just having a look at some of the scraps that I have left over from the last layouts that I did with this kit. And there are already some pieces of paper that are chunked up nicely. And so I'm going to try to just use scraps for this, or at least I'm starting off with using my scraps. I definitely want to use something with that really vibrant blue. I'm thinking that floral and having the blue piece showing a little bit there in the corner, but I'm also thinking this piece of very vibrant blue chevron paper would also be very nice. Now I'm thinking about using this pink paper for my background, and I'm just having a look at what else is there just to check and make sure that I'm not missing anything. Again, this heart paper from the Scraptastic Kit Club, it's all from the kit, but that's a Scraptastic exclusive paper. That again brings that vibrant blue. I'm trying to pick up on the blue in both the ocean and the sky in this photo. This is a photo from September. I don't usually scrapbook photos that are this old, but I didn't get around to doing this one, and I wanted to make sure it got on my page, or in my book. So I just have this die cut piece here. It's from the Amy Tangerine die cuts that came in the kit. They're from, I forget which collection they're from, actually. Let me check. It's the Finders Keepers collection, and there's a couple of papers from that collection on there, that floral one with the blue in it. I'm just going to cut off the manufacturer's strip on that. And I'm going to sort of mat this paper, but I'm going to use my border punch on two of these. I literally had to dust it off. That's how long that punch has been sitting on my punch rack. I'm really trying to get into using some things that I haven't used. I'm trying to stamp more, and I'm trying to use some of the supplies that I love so much that I don't always get a chance to use. So I'm trying to do that these days. And so I'm not going to mat it fully. I'm just going to mat it on two sides using my Tombow tape runner here. And I'm going to just adhere this like that. And now I'm going to, I'm going to sew it. And I'm going to sew it all the way around. But I'm mostly sewing on these two sides so that I can pull back the scallop edge and have it be kind of pulled back and ripped up looking a little bit. So I'm doing a little bit of extra stitching on two of the corners. It turns out that I'm stitching on the wrong corners. It's hard to pre-stitch like this because you don't really know what you're going to be doing. At least I don't, maybe you do, but I never know what I'm going to be doing. So I just kind of took a guess, and I thought maybe I'll put some embellishments in these two opposite corners. It turns out that I'm not going to do that, but it looks okay with the stitching there anyways. The stitching is not bold enough. It's just white on the pink background. It doesn't stand out enough that it's very distracting from the layout. So it looks okay. And I just put some washi tape where my stitching is because I don't backstitch, and I don't want it to fall apart as I bring the layout in and out of my album. And here, sometimes I find that using a ruler helps you to pull up the edges, but because of the scallop, it really isn't in this case, so I abandoned that idea. So here I am just pulling this up to get a little bit of extra texture, I guess, and interest on the side of the layout there. And just kind of beating it up a little bit with my hands to make it look a little bit scruffy looking. And there's all my layered papers the way that I had them. And now, as I mentioned, I'm trying to use some more supplies that I sometimes overlook. So these are the stamps for the Riptide kit. And they are a whole bunch of words on blocks. And so I'm going to make a little pattern with some of the blocks here. And I'm using basic gray ink, which is my favorite Stampin' Up! Gray ink. It's used so much that it really needs to be re-inked. And because I wasn't using a stamping mat here, I didn't do a good job of that. But it's supposed to be messy, so I didn't really mind too much. I didn't do too bad of a job. I was wishing that I had used my Misty, the most incredible stamp tool invented, because then I could have just re-inked and swung it over and re-stamped in exactly the same spot, but it looks okay. It looks okay hand fixed the way that I did it. So now I don't want it to look too much like the same repeating pattern on the top and on the bottom. So I'm just going to put a couple of other blocks here that I'm just going to stamp individually. I don't want it to have too much of a matchy look, but I also want to be able to see enough of some of them that you can tell what the words say and that they're noticeable. So done with that now. And to me, it looks kind of weird, but I'm holding out for the idea that once I add some mist, that it'll start to look better. So, and once you layer a whole bunch of stuff, no one thing looks as noticeable. So right now those stamps look funny because they're the only thing on the page, so they're much more noticeable. I'm just outlining here with my .05 journaling pen. And I'm doing something a little bit different here, which is I'm going to do my misting before I'm finished. Usually I save my misting for last, but in this case I'm going to mist on the background paper and this one layer. So I have my cake box and I'm looking for my navy one. There it is. And so I just wanted to double check that it is the color I had in my mind, and it was. So I'm just dripping some mists. And then I grabbed some white, and this mist just dries. It's Mr. Huey's, and it dries really fast on pattern paper. It just absorbs right up into it. And now I'm looking for another shade. I'm looking for a blue, I believe, sky blue. Yeah, sky from Mr. Huey's. So all three of these are Mr. Huey's. Just to add a little bit of interest, the two different shades of blue instead of just one. I usually try to do 3 different colors of mist. And now I'm just going to outline all of these papers. I'm using my Stampin' Up! Grid paper, which I reuse over and over and over again. I just stick it under my Martha Stewart work mat when I'm not using it. And then once it's all covered in lots and lots and lots of stray lines, that's when I throw it out and start a new one. So the same pad of grid paper has lasted me ever since I was a Stampin' Up! Demo, which was, wow, a very long time ago. Well, long for me. I haven't been scrapbooking all that long. I started in 2009. I might have been a Stampin' Up! Demo maybe in 2011, maybe 2010, something like that. So this is the basic configuration that I'm going to stick with for this layout. And here, everybody does that, right? They staple in the middle, as instead of having to glue all the little pieces down. And you got to have staples in your stapler for that to work. I knew there was a reason I didn't do that. I've had that stapler in my craft carousel for ages, and it hasn't had staples in it for ages. Anyhow, yes, so I'm just going about putting all of the layers back together again. Not in exactly the same places that they were. I didn't take any pictures or anything, but I wasn't too stressed out about it being exactly the way that I had it. I'm going to stick in this little transparent tag here. It just adds a little bit of interest. I have a feeling I'm going to put some embellishments on there, so yeah. That will serve as a base for some of the other embellishments to kind of sit upon. I'm looking for something big to put here. And so the Amy Tangerine die cuts that came with the kit, I think they're also from the Finder Keepers collection. There are lots and lots of tags, so I'm just looking through and trying to pick one that coordinates and has a message that I like. This one says, "We are on a very special journey called life." And so I thought that was very relevant to the picture. It's a picture of it's one of our first family portraits with our new international students from Italy and Spain. And so I thought it's kind of nice that I've always thought of it as, they're obviously on a journey. They're here from far away, away from their families for the first time for this amount of time. And in a new country and learning a new language, it's a very brave thing for a young person to do all by themselves. So obviously they're on a journey, but I often think of us as being on a journey with them, because when they're here, we learn so much about them as people, and we learn about their home countries and their culture and their language. And so it really is a journey for all of us. And so yeah. That's what this layout is all about. And then this other little die cut. So I'm just looking through the die cut pieces there, both the die cut set from Amy Tangerine, and now I have the Ellie Studio die cut set. And I'm just putting some things together to embellish this with. And then I took some of those little Amy Tangerine hearts and stars and sprinkled them among my stamps and mist sprinkles. And I'm just attaching them with my tiny attacher, which does have staples, unlike my big stapler, which doesn't. Yeah, I kind of like that look. Yeah, I like it like that. So I'm not entirely sold on the totally and the arrow staying there, so I'm going to take them off. And yeah, I'm going to put the something up here, something of interest. So I have those little enamel chips. They are the shapes of buttons, and so I'll be sewing those on, but I can't quite decide where exactly I'm going to put it. This blue skies just had to go on this layout because the blue sky is just so beautiful in this photo. And yeah, here in Canada, we don't always have a blue sky, so it's nice to document it when we do have one. I really like that ampersand there because it kind of takes the title. I'm not going to put a letter sticker title. I'm just going to make the title of this be "We Are on a Very Special Journey Called Life." And then the ampersand kind of connects it to the next sentiment, which says, "And my heart is full." I'm putting that lemon in there just because it's cute and I like it. I know there's two yellow embellishments right beside each other there, the tag and the lemon, but normally that would annoy me, but it's not in this case, so I'm just going to leave it. It's not standing out as being particularly off-putting, so I'm just going to leave it. Ideally, I would like two different colored things right beside each other like that, but you don't always have to follow those sorts of rules or ideas that you have. I'm just putting some pop dots on the end of that "My Heart is Full" embellishment, which came from the Amy Tangerine pack. And so just layering some embellishments here, and I'm going to add some linen thread to my tag. And that ampersand button is going to have to be sewn in place. I have my Amy Tangerine piercer there. And I'm thinking about sewing it on with this white thread, but I thought it's going to be a little bit too much contrast between the white thread and that really, really dark blue ampersand button. And plus, my needle was already threaded with this pink thread. So the lazy and probably nicer route was to use the pink thread. I'm not sure exactly why I did it, if it was for the lazy reason or because I actually preferred it, but it worked out okay. Making sure that I put that ampersand on right side up instead of backwards, because that's the kind of mistake I would make. And now I'm just tying a knot on the other side, and I'll cut it off, tie myself another knot, and get ready to sew on the hashtag button. I'm placing it so that it doesn't cover the F in the word family. Even though it is clear, I don't want to cover the F. And I'm just going to put a little cross stitch in here. Piercing your holes ahead of time makes it a lot easier to do this kind of sewing. There we go, all done. And that little foam block that I keep my piercer in is just the foam that comes. It used to come in brad sets. If you bought basic gray brads, they would always come with little bits of foam on it. This is my Chamel roller date stamp, and I just put September 2015. I didn't put a date. The date doesn't really matter, and I didn't really feel like looking it up. So in the place of where the numbers go for the date, I just put, there's little hearts on that roller date stamp. So I just put heart, heart, September 2015. And now I want to use a couple of these Dear Lizzie wooden embellishments. They're painted wooden circles. And yeah, there. I like the one with the leaf a lot, so I wanted to get that one on there. And it's just kind of among the other ones. So this layout is quite a bit different than the one that I'm going to do right after it. This one is quite, you could say, cluttered or highly embellished. There's lots going on this one. I think I'm going to take a few minutes here and put some pop dots in between. Oh no, wait. Maybe I already did that. Yes, here's where I make my big mistake. So Camilla from Spain. Of course, Camilla is from Italy, and I know that, but I was just kind of absent-mindedly writing my journaling right on the background paper, and I put Camilla from Spain instead of Camilla from Italy. So my journaling says Camilla from Italy and Sophia from Spain joined our family this year. And so I decided that since I need to fix that, and it's a big mistake, and I can't liquid paper it because it is on pink background paper, I decided to do these little journaling strips, and I did them in my regular journaling pen, which ended up smudging on the cardstock. That's one of the tags from the Amy Tangerine die cut pieces. So I'm going to cut 3 more journaling strips, and this time I pre-cut it before I wrote, because the first time when I wrote, my dangly letters ended up getting cut off. So I pre-cut it, and that way I can make the dangling parts of my letters fit on the strips. And I'm using a Sharpie marker because it won't smudge the way that my other journaling marker did. Usually I test a marker before I use it on a piece of paper, especially a paper that has a different kind of a coating on it. This tag has a little bit of a, not really shiny surface, but a little less matte than paper. I've decided to just staple these on with my tiny attacher. And I like how it looks. I probably would have liked it better just written on. It's a little cluttery. It was already a pretty cluttery layout. Yeah, so here I go with the pop dots. I'm just putting them in after the fact. Usually I put them in before, and then I end up taking some of them off, changing my mind. So it is convenient to add the pop dots at the end, because then you know which papers need to lie flat and which ones need to flip up a little bit. So that's what it looks like. You can see that you can't really tell that I made a mistake there under the journaling strips. And I really like how all the papers look together. It's a very, very busy layout. These patterns are all pretty bold. They're all pretty bold patterns all together. So that's why I picked a fairly neutral background paper. And yeah, I like it. It's very colorful and fun. And I like the little detail on the edge with the scalloped border that's torn up a little bit. And yeah, this was a fun one to do. It's in great contrast to the next layout that you will see, which I did immediately after this one. And so stick around on my channel and watch the next video if you're interested in seeing something completely different than this, and also quite different for me. My next layout is very minimalist with a white background and very, very, very little embellishing. So if this was not your cup of tea, check out the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a really great scrappy week.